Ну, что ж, начинаю. О, здравствуй, Ван Зес. Спасибо. Я сейчас опять бегать с этими тенями. Да. Бали. Не такие еще. Так, значит, там.
I still had to reach Barry at the cabin, but at least I was out of the woods. I'd have to get the car from the locked garage. It would get me back to Barry faster, and the headlights were a welcome bonus. The FBI agent's command froze me in place. I considered surrender. It was all falling apart anyway. I could give in, let someone else deal with it, but it felt all wrong. Call it instinct, his posture, the way he held the gun. He was no friend. Shots ringing in my ears, I leaped for the hole in the fence and stumbled into the darkness beyond. I had to find the key to the garage. A story is not a machine that does what you tell it. A story is a beast with a life of its own. You can create it, shape it, but as the story grows, it starts wanting things of its own. Change one thing and you suddenly change the characters have to be true to themselves. The events need to follow a logic that fits the story. A single flaw and the magic is gone. The story dies. Alice dies.
Here we have the first driving scene. The vehicles were originally designed to be used as weapons against the dark forces. The headlights are used to burn the darkness away, and you finish them off by driving over them. Along the way, vehicles became a more important part of level design, and scenes which use vehicles are clearly differentiated from basic foot combat sections.
ехать. Тут еще ехать. Ай, ё-моё.
The flare gun was probably the best weapon I could imagine against the dark things I was facing.
Я, конечно, все забыл вроде, но проверить стоит. Нет, ничего. Ну.
It was the kidnapper.
You son of a bitch! Where's my wife?
Enough horseplay, Wake. You deliver the manuscript, and you can have your woman back. Simple as that.
I don't... Listen. Listen. I'm gonna need time to finish it. I still need to write the ending. I need... a week.
It's not done.
I need a week.
2 days. The old Bright Falls coal mine is nearby. You can find it easy, city boy. The main building, there at noon. You bring the manuscript, you'll get your wife. If not, well, get me?
Yes, I get you.
Barry had talked about birds over the phone.
I am so glad you're here. A couple of them got in here before I blocked the chimney. This isn't normal. These birds are weird.
You can open the door now. They're gone.
Hey, Al. I'm sorry for thinking you were having a psychotic episode, man.
I sent Barry to the town to ask around about a man fitting the kidnapper's description. He'd go through the archives of the local paper. Perhaps he could learn something. Anything about the island and the cabin that had disappeared. The man wanted a manuscript. I had to try to write him one to get Alice back. For me, the supernatural had always been nothing but a metaphor for the human psyche, a tool to use in writing fiction. Now, it was happening for real, and I couldn't put a single word on paper.
Barry Wheeler speaking.
This is Rose.
Rose?
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Надеюсь.
Oh, you sweet, brilliant girl.
Could you and Mr. Wake come get them? I live in the trailer park outside the town.
We'll be there in less than an hour.
Bye now.
See you soon.
Have a great day. Hope you come back soon. Welcome to the old
dear diner.
Good girl.
Это фальшивка была.
Come here. Pretty please. Can you tell me where I am? You. Won't you say something? I need to get my bearings. I'm lost. And the shadows keep on changing. And I'm haunted by the
Previously on Alan Wake, Alice has been kidnapped.
Alan, please help me.
Alice?
You'll do exactly what I say if you ever want to see your wife again.
I can't tell anyone except my agent Barry.
Damn it, Barry, they'll kill her.
You're my best friend, and I'm worried that you're not right in the head.
The ransom is a manuscript I supposedly wrote that's coming true before my eyes.
It happened just the way it was on that page. So dark.
I have found only a few scattered pages.
I want the entire manuscript.
The deadline is in 2 days.
I found Mr. Wake's pages.
Good girl.
How the hell did she get her hands on the manuscript anyway?
I don't know. She's resourceful. I told you were too hard on her. Listen, I found out all sorts of interesting stuff while I was digging around.
Yeah.
Mr. Wake, it's Sheriff Breaker. We have an FBI agent here, Agent Nightingale.
FBI.
He's anxious to see you. You'd better come to the station.
Okay, I'll be right over, Sheriff. Let's make this quick, huh?
Help you folks? Name's Randolph. I'm the manager.
We're looking for Rose. Works as a waitress down at the diner.
Rose, sure. Nice girl. Who wants to know?
I'm Alan Wake.
The writer, huh? I heard on the radio you were visiting. Well, I'll show you her trailer. That Rose, she's a nice girl. Always pays her rent on time.
As I was saying, Al, I found all sorts of weird stuff from the local newspaper's archives. This place is crazy. Disappearances, mysterious deaths, urban legends come true, and get this, most of the stuff takes place around
The trailer park where Rose lives is a cozy place that recently had a bit of a shock when a sailing boat picked up by a tornado crashed in the middle of 2 trailers. This is a location that for a long time looked like it was not going to make it in the final game. But I'm glad it did, because I think it's one of those places that helps define the character and style of the game in a visual way. When we went out photoshooting along the Pacific Northwest area, we came across many trailer parks, and we have plenty of material for them. So I think that really shows in the authenticity of this location.
Yeah, how about that? It was there in the morning, as if it had fallen from the sky. But it would take a tornado to lift something like that. We're damn lucky it didn't crush any of the trailers.
Автовидовые, ничего себе.
It gets better. A local girl, Barbara Jagger, drowned in Cauldron Lake just a week earlier. They were lovers.
Sure, Jagger's a local spook story. The Scratching Hag comes for you in the dark. Childish stuff like that.
Anyway, Al, I'm just getting to the best part. All of the articles about this stuff were written by Cynthia Weaver. I asked around, and she's that crazy bag lady you met.
What, the lamp lady? She can be a little loopy, but she's not homeless or anything.
Yeah, anyway, she knew both Jagger and Zane before they both died, and she had some kind of a breakdown.
Well, mister, this here's Rose's trailer. You mind me asking what you want with her?
We're just here to talk to her, pal.
Welcome to... Oh dear, Mr. Wake. I'm so glad you're here.
Rose, you have my manuscript?
Oh. Oh, yes. Yes. Please, come in.
Hey, this is really good.
Rose,
Yes,
my manuscript. I really need it.
I understand. I know what you need. A muse to inspire you.
Oh, for Barry. She doesn't have anything.
Yeah, hey, Al? Al, what's... Oh...
Barry! What? What?
It's coming for you, hiding in my barber's skin. I'm too weak to stop it. You must turn the lights on.
I promised I'd come visit you and your lovely wife. You must finish what you started. I insist.
You must turn the lights on. Turn the light on.
Back to work, boy.
I felt nauseous, hungover. Only anger kept me going.
I can't tell reality from dream anymore.
but it seems I have an imaginary editor. Rose took a day from me. I had less than 12 hours left to meet the kidnapper. All I could do was get Barry into the car, work something out once I got on the road.
Welcome to the Oh Dear Diner. What can I get you today? Coffee?
I couldn't work up much hate for Rose. Something had used her to get to me and left its mark.
First refill is free. Milk and sugar on the counter
Complex
there.
incantation of
Would you
attempt.
like to hear today's specials?
My gun and flashlight were gone. Mr. Randolph liked Rose. That little smile she had. How she was still sweet when life had tried so hard to make her bitter. It wasn't any of his business what she did in her trailer. But those strangers, the writer and his smart-ass sidekick, looked like trouble. And they'd been in there for hours, way past her normal bedtime. He reached for the phone and called the sheriff's station. To find a way to get
The Dark Presence is the main adversary in our game, and I wouldn't necessarily call it evil, but it is completely alien to our world, and that may pretty much be the same thing. We don't really want to explain the Dark Presence in too much detail. We kind of want it to remain a mystery, but let me say this much. It's definitely not human. It doesn't think the way we do. A good example of this would be when Wake actually escapes from the cabin. And he actually just sits there and writes the whole thing into the story, and the Dark Presence is right there, and it just doesn't understand what's going on. It doesn't work on that level of logic. On the other hand, it can be very devious. For example, it has no problems whatsoever using Alice and Rose against Wake in a very, very sort of, contrived manner, and it works very well too. We talked quite a bit about the Dark Presence being weak in the beginning of the game, and that's true as far as it goes, but it only refers to the foothold it has in our world. Now, it is strong. It is very, very strong and very, very big in its own world.
Oh, you're gonna get it now. God knows what you've done to that poor girl.
This is Agent Nightingale, FBI! Get him up, Hemingway! You're under arrest! You move a muscle, I'll unload right in your goddamn face! Stay right where you are, Slane!
What are? I'm standing right here, you goddamn maniac!
I hated to leave Barry behind, but there was no way I'd miss my appointment with the kidnapper.
Give it up, Mr. Wake! Come on! Make it easy!
Get after him! Don't let him get away! Move it! Move it! Move it! I'll have your shot if you let him get away! Stop running! Freeze! Okay, men, keep your eyes peeled. He's gonna try to make it through here.
Oh, damn.
Which way did he go? Wait, back now! Wait! Don't move! I don't dare wait! Keep an eye out! God damn it! Where did he go? Slip away! Keep an eye out! He's gone! Come on, guys! We need to head him off!
For decades, the darkness that wore Barbara Jagger's skin slept fitfully in the dark place that was its home and prison. It was hungry and in pain. It dreamed of its nights of glory when the poet's writing had called it from the depths and given it a brief, terrible taste of power and freedom. The rock stars had stirred it from the deep sleep the poet had sunk it back to in the end. When it sensed the rider on the ferry, it opened its eyes.
Ваша соцсети будет. Любите высом. Дай помогите. Ну ладно, разберитесь.
Nightingale, over.
What on earth is going on? My deputies tell me you fired at Wade and didn't have a gun. You almost hit a civilian instead. Over.
Search the area. Stay sharp. This way. Over here.
Может всех перебьет там. О.
This horror was everywhere I went, circling me. The cops didn't stand a chance. They were after a rider, not a monster.
Его сейчас побьет.
You on the ground. Hold it right there. There's nowhere to run.
Ничего не смотрел. Извините.
This is James. Mulligan, Thornton, come in. Over.
Thornton here. James, we got both Wheeler and Rose in custody. They didn't put up a fight or anything. Why, they were... Hey,
I could see the lights of the radio station in the distance.
James, Mulligan here. Over. Go ahead, Mulligan. Over. We got Wheeler and Rose here. Wheeler's drunk or hopped up on something. Speaking of which, that Fed had a pretty distinctive whiff of Otis Scotch about him, if you know what I mean. Over. I don't have anything on that, Deputy Mulligan. Over. Well, whatever. Anyway, Rose just...
I imagined that the broadcast tower in the distance was part of the local radio station. Maine seemed like a decent guy. Perhaps he could give me directions to the coal mine. Unnatural shadows clung to the gate. The darkness that was after me was trying to stop me. I wouldn't get through without a light. There was no power to the searchlight.
Ну да, такой себе.
The old generator conked out. I'd have to see if I could fix it and try again.
Как говно начинает. Да слышу я тебя, мастер. Слышу. Не знаю, слышишь ли ты меня. Ого, фонарик отдали. Офигеть. Ну да, есть такое. Я не знаю, работает ли этот микрофон на наушниках.
It took me a moment to recognize the flashbang grenades.
Here we see one of the most useful tools that the gameplay
Да,
designers
машина
have.
перевернулся
They
не
call
с
it
этими
beds,
гранатами.
for bringing enemies to the scene. It started off as a simple spawning system, but as time went on, it evolved into something bigger. It actually now incorporates build-up as well. You hear the whispers and sounds that the darkness creates, and well, the darkness itself actually appearing in the forest. It hides the enemies when they actually get close to you.
Офигенная штука.
On top of that, we have a reveal system, which shows the first enemy attacking you, but we do it only once per combat. After that, you're on your own.
Всех паутин поедает, становится видно. Какое дальше? ППшек мало. Надо научиться гранатами пользоваться, то
Maine could lend me a car to get to the coal mine.
We don't see a lot of Pat Maine in the game, but actually he has a considerable presence. One of the problems with Alan Wake was that we really wanted to maintain that small town atmosphere, but that's very hard to do when, you don't actually spend a lot of time in the small town itself. A familiar and dependable radio solved that problem. Also, I think RJ Allison, who plays Pat Maine, did a wonderful job. He really nails the character, and it's so great to be alone in the dark and then hear that warm and dependable voice.
Well, thank you very much for that compassionate viewpoint, Lorna. Oh, here's a little surprise. The famous writer Alan Wake just walked in. Folks, I'm going to see if I can talk him into an interview.
Come on in, Mr.
Oh, I'm so glad you could find the time to do this, Mr. Wake.
Nowhere to run now, Dan Brown. You back away from me. Don't hurt her.
Whoa. Everyone calm down. Put the gun down. We're all friends here, right?
Cool your jets, Nightingale. We got him. What the hell's the matter with you? There's a civilian in there.
John Wick. And yet there's Alan. Alan.
Here we have another really well set up journey. The train depot and the bridge in the distance, well visible from early on. As an interesting side note,
Nightingale stared through the broken studio window into the dark woods. He turned around, started to walk out, but Maine grabbed his arm. "Young man, you almost shot me. You don't shoot off rounds at people like that. What's the matter with you?" Nightingale shook his arm free, marched out. His cheeks burned with rage and humiliation.
this whole area was originally just a minor branch. Not even a branch. Alan Wake just basically had to get a car from the forest and continue towards the mining museum. With months of iteration and looking at the possibilities given by the environment, we found out that this area could have lots of poltergeist events, could have hidden routes and so forth. The bridge and the train depot all appearing far later in the development.
There was no sensible reason for the power company work lights to be here. It was almost as if they'd been left for someone like me to use.
Ну, это забавно. Сейчас будет мясо. Ох, выжил.
Sarah trusted her gut, and her gut said Agent Nightingale was an asshole. He felt wrong, and it wasn't just the smell of stale booze. It was in the way he flashed his badge, pulled rank, the look in his eyes when he wanted answers. Where was Alan Wake? What was this about an accident? Where was his wife? And most importantly, why did she let Wake go? He wouldn't answer her questions. Federal business was all he'd say.
Ну-ка, может так лучше слышно, нет? Походу, да, так лучше.
Hello?
The most stubborn man I've ever met.
Alice? Alice?
Alan. Alan. I'm so afraid. Keeps me in the dark. Please help me. I look at you, Alan, and it's not you. Something else. Looking out from behind your eyes.
Alice, I'm here.
I'm so alone here. It's all gonna go to hell. You need to be careful. Cooperate.
The connection had been terrible, but that wasn't the only thing that hadn't been right with the call. She sounded wrong somehow, but she had called me.
Это что за отвлечение? Надеюсь, постоянно так все.
I could see a railway bridge up ahead, and a warehouse of some sort of opposite shore.
Everybody knows the movie Poltergeist, but I wouldn't say that it was the origin for this idea. This game is about possession. It's about the dark presence taking over everything in the world. It started off with humans, and, well, in the design, the inanimate objects were the next logical step. One of the hardest things to do was to convey intent. The objects don't have any body language, unlike the tape. How we ended up with the current feature was that the lead writer actually encountered a problematic physical object. It flickered around the terrain erratically, and you really couldn't tell what is going to happen next. And that ended up being a real feature. And you can see the result.
The pipe wrenched itself loose from the bridge's steel framework. Wrapped in darkness, it floated in midair, twitching. For a moment, I didn't understand what I was looking at. The heavy object lurched at me with impossible force. I threw myself out of the way, but just barely. When I turned my flashlight on it, it shook in a dark rage before it flew at me again. I slammed the door shut right in his smug face. He pleaded for me to open the door. True to form, the asshole actually thought I would obey. I had no sympathy left, no guilt either, not for him. I took a moment to savor the scream. I bet I had a smile on my face. It was all that I had time for. The dark presence was inside the lodge with me. As a teenager, just starting to get interested in writing, Stephen King had been a source of inspiration to me. I thought about all the inanimate objects that had come to life in his books. No one is safe in a good horror story. Certainly not the protagonist. That's what makes them fun. This was anything but. The darkness could possess anything, and it was getting closer.
Найду я фонарик помощнее. Посмотрим. Здесь сколько я уже собрал этих термосов.
The dark presence can take over almost anything. That includes machinery like vehicles. In the next scene you will see the bulldozer attacking you, and it might be familiar to you from demos that have been shown in different shows before. I would like to say that plenty of thought and research went into this, but the fact is that it was basically just a lucky test when we fooled around with the AI and physics. And here you can see the results.
Take the facts of our existence for granted, unaware that they are merely a thin veneer of desperate self-delusion, covering a vast cosmos of madness and horror. All too often, the stars are right. In Night Springs. Tonight's episode, a family occasion. Journalist Alvin Derlis' trip to study the local customs of an insular community in Night Springs.
The darkness surged towards me, sucking everything loose from the ground into its depths, tugging at my clothes. I saw the flare the kidnapper had dropped and threw myself towards it just as I felt my feet leave the ground. The darkness embraced me with the force of a tornado. Somehow I managed to light the flare. The darkness roared and cast me away. I fell toward the dark waters of the lake far below.
Less than successful. Until tonight.
Well, I'm glad you changed your minds about this. Ancient customs, local mythology. I get her loves this kind of stuff.
Столько бандурами гоняться. Девают туда ли? Да.
I had never been this glad to see the sunrise. I had a couple of hours to get to the coal mine. The coal mine wasn't far now. Today, I
пожалуй,
would meet the
пока что
kidnapper, and he would give me
все.
Alice. I wouldn't give him any other choice. A
Думаю,
drowning man
предложение
will clutch
завтра.
at a straw.